All right, so we are starting 6.3 today, which is writing percent equations and solving percent equations. So last class in 6.2, we were using percent proportions to find our missing variables. So it's the exact same thing, it's just another way of doing it. So today I really want you to practice using the percent equations, and then after today, you can totally go back to using percent proportions if you feel more comfortable with that, or you can continue to use percent equations. But just give it a chance. You get the same answer no matter which method you use. I just want to give you a second option. So it's a little bit different when you're using percent equations. The word problems still look the same, so they're still set up and worded the exact same as they were last class. The only difference is we're going to solve them using an equation instead of a proportion. So anytime we see the word of and we know that we're going to use an equation, this means that we are multiplying. And anytime we see the word is, we know that this means equals. So when I look at my word problem, I'm going to annotate it using those two keywords. So we know the word is means equals, and we know that the word of means multiply. So we have 45 is, which is equals, what percent, and whenever we don't know what the percent is, or we see the word what percent, we know that we are looking for our P. Of means we are going to multiply, and then 66. So we're going to write it the same way that we see it, only instead of using the word is and of, we're going to swap it out or substitute it with a multiplication sign or an equal sign, depending on what word it is. So now we've done this before. To refresh your memory, we draw a line down the equal sign, and anytime we are multiplying, we have to do the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying is to divide, so we are going to divide by 66 on both sides. And when we do that, our 66's cancel on the right. And so that leaves us with P equals, and then we're going to do 45 divided by 66, and we get 0.6818, and it keeps going on. So there's an extra step with this one. When we use this method, anytime we don't use proportions, we have an extra step when solving for percent. So when solving for P, we need to multiply our answer by 100 to actually get the percent. So we're going to take what we got in our calculator and we're going to hit times 100. And we find that our percent is actually 68.18 repeating. So we get 68.18. We're going to put the line above the 1/8 and then add our percentage sign, and that equals P. So I want everybody to write this down. The reason we have to multiply by 100 when using equations is because we're not accounting for the fact that it's out of 100. And so in our proportions, we account for that by having this 100 at the bottom, so we don't actually have to multiply our answer by 100. But when we use equations, we don't have any 100 in our equation, so we have to multiply our answer by 100 to get our actual true percent. If we don't, then we just have a rational number. And you'll notice that we actually got the same thing when doing the proportions. So when we did percent proportions, I gave you the same word problem, and you'll see that we actually got the same answer both times. All right, so let's do example 1 of our equations. So what number is? We know is means equals 40% of 15. So we know we have to multiply. So what number? We don't know what number is there, so we're going to put A equals, and we know it's our A because it's next to the word is, so we're still using some of the stuff that we learned the other day, like over here where it said part was, we called it A. So we're still using the same type of concept that we already learned. We do have an extra step here. Our extra step here is that they gave us a percent, but we know when we use an equation, we can't have that percentage sign. And so we actually have to take this number and divide it by 100 to get the irrational number. So we're going to do 40 divided by 100 because we can't have that percent in the equation. And so the number we're going to use is 0.4 and then times 15. And so what's nice about solving for our part is we have 0.4 times 15. And so we can just plug that into our equation because a is already by itself. And we get 6. So when we simplify this, we get 6 equals a. So our part was 6. So if we got 6 questions right on a test that had 15 questions, we would have gotten a 40% on that test. All right, so we're going to go to example 2. So example 2, let's annotate. We have what percent of means multiply. 90 is means equals. That was rough. 36. So what percent? We know we're looking for a percent. And so we have P. Goodness. Times 90 equals, because of this is right here, 36. And so we have P times 90, so we're going to do the opposite. So draw our line, and we're multiplying by 90, so we are going to divide by 90 on both sides to get P by itself. Those cancel, and I get P equals 36 divided by 90. And then we know that when we are solving for P, my pen is not working. When solving for P, we said up here that when solving for P, we have an extra step, and so we have to multiply our answer by 100. So we're going to say times 100, and we get 40. So P equals 40%. All right, so when you are done taking these notes, I'm going to have you raise your hand, and I will bring you guys the extra practice. There's 4 more problems that I want you to do on your own. And then once you finish those, you're going to raise your hand again, and I'll come by and check them. And then when you're done with that, you have homework time. So when you're done watching this video, please raise your hand, and I will bring you that extra practice. When doing the extra practice, I want you to practice this percent equation concept. We already know how to do proportions, so now I want to make sure that you know how to do equations. So you must use percent equations method for your extra practice.